Hi, I'm DJ.
I'm Nikki.
And we're the Ten Hoeves from the Ten Hoeves Realty Group. We run a real estate company here in New Jersey, and we are answering your funny holiday questions.
I remember my first clients.
There you go. Yeah.
Actually, I don't think they were my first clients, but they're memorable because I was hosting an open house on this beautiful Sunday morning, and it was in an area that attracts a lot of people moving to New Jersey from New York. And I closed up the house and I was leaving, and I saw New York plates coming towards me down the street, so I turned my car around and opened the doors back up for them, and they ended up buying a house with me within a few months after that. So I don't think they were my first clients, but they're memorable because it was a cool experience.
Scale it from like 1 to 2.
Well, I think most real estate agents start out as a real estate agent of one, right? The way the history of real estate has happened is that most real estate agents start by themselves. They take as many clients as they possibly can on the listing side of the business, on the buy side of the business, until they get to a place where maybe they can't handle everything that's on their plate, and then they hire an assistant or they team up with somebody to help out. For us, the goal was always to build a team and a business and an asset that would be something we could grow, not just within Monmouth County, but within the state of New Jersey, and then bigger than that as well, so that it would be a real company, something that would have a value and something that was an asset. Because I think one of the poor things about real estate historically is that most realtors, like I said, are a business of one, and then when you get sick or you can't work anymore, or you decide you don't want to work anymore, the business is done. That's not really a business, it's a sole proprietorship. So for us, it's been really systematic about when I was a single agent myself, and then I got to a point where I couldn't facilitate it, I needed help, I needed leverage. That's where Nikki came in, and she helped from the admin side of things. And then from there, we've grown it by adding buyers agents on board. And then we made a huge acquisition, or partnership, I should say, with AJ when we had an expansion partner in him up in northern New Jersey, where we were able to take what was already a top performing agent in a big location and essentially bring that in underneath our business and grow the business bigger because of that. So just trying to find the right people to be in business with, and then figure out how those businesses, those people can actually make your business better and you make their business better. So what skill did we have as a kid that translates well to what we do now? Do you have one?
Well, as an adult, my mom now reminds me at every holiday, birthday, Christmas, that growing up I would sell people on their gifts before they were allowed to open them. And it drove everyone crazy because all they wanted to do was open their gifts. And that was very important to me to make sure they understood why I chose what I chose for them.
I would disagree with that part. I would say the skill set from her childhood that probably has served her best is what's called the cleanie meanie.
Oh God.
So this was the name that her family gave to her because she was a little regimented about making sure that the house was clean. That has translated really well to your role as a director of operations because everything is exactly where it needs to be. It happens when it's supposed to happen. So your level of organization is something that's translated really well in this business.
Well, I appreciate that. I actually think the funniest part about the Cleanie Meanie name is when I left for college, my dad said to my mom, "Do we not have a cleaning lady anymore?" Not realizing I was the one cleaning the house.
For me, a skill that I had as a kid, I think it's just something that's in my nature. Since birth, I've been a very competitive person. I played competitive sports my entire life. I played college baseball, and that's just in my character. So my need for winning, my need to compete has helped me tremendously in a sales role just because everything for me is a competition. And it's not necessarily against other people, but just against myself. And that's what keeps me striving for more and bigger and better and trying to grow things. So that's definitely helped. Now, I've got 2 dogs on my lap. What was my favorite Christmas gift I ever got? I don't know how old I was. I think I was probably 6 or 7. And Dad, if you're watching this, Dad and Mom, you can tell me if I'm right on the age of this, but I got a 50cc ATV quad for Christmas, which was like the most ridiculous thing in the world.
Is that the one you still have?
It's still up in Layton, yeah, up at the country house.
Wow.
The same orange quad that I had from when I was 6 years old. I mean, it was really cool. I was really lucky too, because my uncle, my Uncle John, actually had a big piece of property where his house was in Westwood, and he cleared out in the back of the property, he and my dad and my other uncle, AJ's father, cleared out a figure-8 track in the woods there that I got to go tear around on when I was 7 or 8 years old on a quad, which was a great thing to do and so much fun until I ended up in a sticker bush hanging off the back of the quad with the wheels still spinning because the throttle was pushed in while I was trying to hang on to the handlebars. But that was by far the best gift I ever got. So the question was, what can small businesses do to adapt right now with the changing economy we've had in 2020 and the struggling business landscape for a lot of people? I think the advantage that any small business, any local business has over the big box shops and the Amazons of the world are you have local. You have something small, something that you can be nimble with, and something you can adapt to hyper-local interest, whatever it is. Figure out whatever your business can offer to people in your town, in your county, whatever it is, that differentiates it from Amazon or differentiates it from Burger King, or whatever the national brands really can't do at a local level, and find a way to make people's lives easier. No matter what your product is, if it's food, if it's a service, find something you can do locally that nobody else can adapt to, and just dive full on into that, because people want to support local and they want things that are going to make their life easier, and they want things that are unique and they can tell their friends about it. So if you can do that, you're going to get word of mouth and you're going to make more money faster.
Agreed. How to fail in real estate.
Pretty easy, right?
Yeah, a lot of people do. I would say first is don't hold on to things for so long. You have a bad day, client yells at you, don't hold on to that for too long. You got to move on. That's number one, right?
Yeah, for sure. It's rejection's a big thing in this business. You got to just cut it, move on, move to the next thing. I also think people not putting their customer or their client first is a big mistake. So many salespeople in any industry get commission breath, which is where every decision you're trying to guide the client to do just sounds like you're asking for money and you're worried about your commission. If you put your client first and you do the right thing for your people, the money will always follow it. And if you do the wrong thing and don't put your client first, the money will just float away from you.
I would say not putting enough time into generating new business. So a lot of us get caught up in the point where we're servicing what we have right now. We are worried about the current client, the current deal happening, but we always have to look at 2 months ahead. So always be thinking about getting new business while you're taking care of current business. That's a huge one actually for succeeding and not failing in this industry.
Dax needed a little bit of help getting off the couch. I think the last one is, especially if you're looking to grow a business that's bigger than, let's say, 10 or 20 families a year that you're helping, you need to learn how to leverage and understand that there are people who can do the job that you think you're the greatest person in the world at, that can actually do it better than you. So understanding dogs are fighting, not just letting go, like Nikki was saying, of bad business or things that just didn't work out, but being willing to hire someone else and demote yourself or move yourself away from a job and hire somebody else in to replace you, who probably do the job better than you can and will free you up to be better at something else.
That was probably the hardest lesson for me to learn, wearing many hats for the business, realizing there's other people out there that can do a better job than what I can do.
For sure.
For sure.
The question is how to balance your work life with your spouse, how to balance your business with your spouse.
Want me to take this one?
You could start it.
There you go, there's your
Work
answer.
with your spouse.
I think a lot of that has to do with picking the right person to spend the rest of your life with. First of all, if you pick somebody who's not a great match for you, it doesn't matter life or business, it's just not going to be successful. So a lot of it is picking the right person in life that will also translate well to business. And then it's understanding what your strengths are, what their strengths are, and how to complement each other. One thing I will tell you that we're terrible at is work-life balance. But I think a lot of that is being an entrepreneur. For the first however many years, 2, 4, 7, 10 years or whatever business you're building, you have to sprint and you have to be willing to work 24/7 to get that baby, to get that bird out of the nest, to get that thing to fly. And if you don't have that work ethic, or the other person doesn't have that work ethic, or if you're going to constantly be comparing each other to who's working harder or working less, it's just not a recipe for success.
When we started the business, our kids were really little, so talk about leverage. We had daycares, we had babysitters after daycare, we had babysitters on the weekends. And honestly, if you were to ask my kids right now, they have really great fond memories of daycare and babysitters. In fact, there were some days at daycare they didn't want to leave. They had so much fun. And it's not that we weren't having fun at night after daycare. It's just that it became their norm. And I think it showed them our work ethic in the end now at the ages they are now, where they can take care of themselves at this point.
Well, I think that's a great point, is that being an entrepreneur and having your kids grow up in a household full of a family business, they're going to learn that work ethic. It's something they're going to be blessed with, hopefully, for the rest of their life, is seeing how hard mom and dad worked.
Sure.
And hopefully that translates to their work ethic when they get out in the workforce. But I know that worked well for me because I was very, very lucky. I grew up in a family-owned business. My mom and dad had Ten Hoeves Construction up in Bergen County that I grew up where my mom worked in the business with my dad, and business was always around us. I mean, my summer jobs were picking up nails from roofing jobs up in North Jersey. So I think I got my work ethic from watching my parents work, and I think I got to see a successful business of a husband and wife working together, which I was able, with Nikki, to be able to model in our business.
To balance working with your spouse in business is difficult because, well, actually, it's really difficult in this particular industry, or where you also can work from home. And you literally can do your business from your phone and a laptop. It's always with you. So whether you're in your car, you're at an office, or you're at home, business is always with you. So I would say truly communication is probably the number one way to be successful as husband and wife and run a business together. And we're not great at it. We actually speak two different languages. The male version and the female version. So we're constantly going, what do you mean by that?
But I think we're able to also understand that our relationship in the business is not the same as our relationship outside the business.
Sure.
We treat each other in the business as if we were coworkers and colleagues. We don't necessarily bring our marriage into the business.
Yeah.
And I don't think we try really hard not to bring that business into our marriage. Those two roles are two totally separate things, although they are constantly intertwined all day long. I mean, we must speak 20 times a day.
Oh, it's so strange. Like if we go a few hours where he's on appointments, I'm like, guys, have you heard from Dad? Has he sent you a text message? We should probably call him, right? Because let's just check on him.
Yeah, we should just go back to the CB radios where you could just beep, beep, and find out where I am at any one moment.
Yeah.
And then I think what's really important on the work-life balance is making sure you know when to shut things down and be able to focus on each other. And that's something we actually have a plan this year to be better at, which is to have more one-on-one time during the week. You know, make a point to go grab lunch together once a week, or make a point to have a date night, whatever it is. But our daughter Elle is the keeper of the clock.
Yes.
So she makes sure that at 7 o'clock every night, everyone's phones go away on the desk and that we're done taking business calls, which we're not great at. I don't think we're anywhere near 100%, but she's been really good at making sure.
We're working on it.
Yeah, and it's great that she feels comfortable enough to tell us, like, hey, I need your attention and you guys should shut this down and you need to take it easy for the night.
The other thing that is really important to us, because we love food, is mealtime. So when we decided to have kids, we said to ourselves, we want to make sure that most nights out of the week, we're like ass and seat in the kitchen having a meal together. Well, yes, electronics sometimes come into play with business, but that we're together. Even if it's leftovers or takeout pizza, we sit down together most nights a week and have a meal. And it's helpful for the two of us as a married couple to have that time with them.
Yeah, for sure.
You don't want to answer it, you don't have to.
I mean, it solidified for me one of the points that I knew I had to do, which was to help get leverage and get some help to try to grow the business bigger. When Nikki came into the business tripled year one.
I replaced my salary.
Yeah. So she went from, an amazing amount of income that she was making in device sales to coming into the business, taking that leap off the cliff, going, are we going to be able to replace that income that we were getting? And the real estate business tripled within 1 year. So you replaced your salary, which is amazing to be able to do that within 1 year, but also just knowing that leveraging and bringing that person into the business freed me up to do more of what I was good at. And then we were able to build the business from there. So it's a hard thing to jump into a full commission type of business, especially when you're in a salary type job or a place where you've got guaranteed income. That's a really, really steep jump off that cliff to make that jump. But you were willing to do it, and it paid off for both of us.
It was then or never.
Well, it was largely because of the kids, right? I mean, the kids really wanted you around more, which is the flexibility of doing real estate, right? Everybody thinks that real estate, you can make your own hours. We work 80 to 90 hours a week, so it's not really making your own hours. It's flexibility of being able to be where you want to be while you're working.
Right, and you could ask them. They'll tell you hands down, we probably work more now than we ever did in corporate America, but we're present at least. We may pace the hallways on a phone call at night, but we're here.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they got to have mom be around more instead of being in Pennsylvania on an overnight, doing an in-service in the morning with a hospital, so.
Yeah, and honestly, even the first year, what I found to be the most challenging was here I am stepping into a business that you first created, and I'm here to help. So he was also coaching baseball for Van, and I thought, what better way for me to be able to help in the business is to allow him to do something that he loves and spend more time with Van, with coaching. So there was probably one whole baseball season where I would show up at baseball games in high heels and a nice suit, and I would pop in for 10 minutes, make sure he saw me, and then I was off to host the open houses every weekend. It gave you the opportunity to get back that time with him. Poor Elle, she was like playing in the dirt by herself somewhere. She turned out fine. But that's leverage, right? So he knew he could trust me to be able to take over that part of the business that season, but I also knew it needed to get done to push the business that much farther forward faster.
Sure. I think it comes back to just understanding sales, which is understand the motivation of both people in the deal, right? Figure out what the motivation is for the seller, figure out what the motivation is for your buyer, and don't ever prey on fear, right? Don't ever try to make somebody be afraid of not making the right decision, because that's never a healthy place to make a decision from. But figure out where the win-win is, right? So figure out how do the seller and the buyer both win. We're a firm believer, it's one of the tenets of our business, which is win-win or no deal. I think that in any successful deal, in any sales career, you have to find a compromise for both people so that both people think they can win or feel like they're winning. So I think that's what's important, is just figure out what that is. And if it's one simple thing to get the deal done, it's just always take one step closer. Just keep getting one step closer to where you think that deal is going to happen. Don't let anybody dig their heels in and stop. Make sure that they're coming up or coming down with a counter, some degree, just to keep those wheels in motion. And every step you get closer and closer to that agreement gets you closer to that agreement. Makes it possible. 2021 goals are going to be an increase in business from last year, so from 2020. I think the goal we're shooting for is to help 187 families around New Jersey buy or sell a house. So 187 is our big goal. Whatever the revenue and the profit that comes from that is what it is, but we're looking to help 187 families. And I know we're also looking to grow the team to bring 2 to 3 new people on board and take one step closer to another location of the business. We've got 2 right now. We're aiming for 5 in the next 4 years. So maybe Long Beach Island and maybe a little bit further out in West Jersey. Hey guys, thanks so much for joining us. We loved your questions. We loved you spending time with us. From our entire family, Diesel and Dax and Elle and Van and myself.
We want to wish you a happy holiday and a happy new year for good health and happiness.
Merry Christmas, happy 2021, guys.